and damaging winds. The temperature will drop to 66 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Sean Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all guns. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Sean Thompson. And this is the Sean Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
I love talking to people like our next guest. And I'll tell you why. I love people who start the adventure of life and achieving things very early on. And I can't tell who's going to be more proud of our next guest, his parents or his kids. At 28, he founded TXN, a first-of-its-kind, fully digital television network in Texas. Later goes on, because he's not 28 anymore, he goes on to create something that is crucially important. He's the founder of Africa Arise, a nonprofit serving over 550 displaced children. The schools in Nigeria, there's a slaughter going on, and you won't hear it from BLM, also known as buying large mansions. They don't care about this, but everybody with an IQ over 60 should. So he wrote a book to inform people. Epicenter, Nigeria, Radical Islam, and the War for Global Order. His name is Mike Arnold. Mike, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having me. How are you doing today?
Well, I'm doing good. This is an amazing story because it happens over and over and over again. It's been going on for years and years and years. And from the school children of the election year, which I completely remember, and I don't think many people do.
Outrage is growing right now in Nigeria after gunmen kidnapped more than 300 students and a dozen teachers at a Catholic school. So
that happens. And then just 2 Sundays ago on Easter.
In Okabu, they just murdered over 10 people. Yeah. Innocent Christians. Yeah.
And you know who else doesn't say anything about this, Mike? To my knowledge, I hear him commenting on American foreign policy. The Pope doesn't say a word about this, at least not out in the air. How has it been able to be kept, this secret of a genocide for years that's been going on?
Well, there's a couple of factors to that. One, there's a lot of powerful forces that want to keep it secret, including elements inside our own government who help make it happen. But also the reality is it happening in Africa. I hate to say it, but if it happens there, people tend to write it off and ignore it, which is a shame because it's an extremely important nation, especially to our future here in the United States. We need to be paying attention to this.
Well, unless it's Libya. And, when you look at some of the things that have gone on over the last 17, 18 years, specifically under the Obama administration, it would appear to me that things have gotten tremendously worse for Christians in Africa, tremendously better for the non-Christian in Africa. And when you think about the people that our government has toppled, from Gaddafi to Saddam Hussein, I don't remember, I could be wrong, but I don't remember, as I like to call them, the Islamo-Nazis, the cult of hate thriving in those 2 areas. Do you remember them thriving the way they are today?
No, not at all. So when I started going to Nigeria, and I've been there 16 times since 2010, my first trip there, it was the only nation on earth where radical Islam was being pushed back. And now it's the number 1 nation on earth for Christian genocide by a factor of 10. It's off the chart, 125,000 slaughtered. Now, let's pause here for just a second because a lot of people can't place Nigeria on a map, don't know why it's important. Nigeria is the 6th largest nation on earth. It's the largest black country. It has about a quarter of Africa's population. It's a young population. It's on track to be the 3rd largest nation on earth by 2050. It's one of the top 5 oil exporting nations on earth, and it has about $1 trillion, $1,000 billion of mineral reserves. And it's like lithium and rare earth elements, the minerals of the future. It's extremely important, extremely strategic nation. They make more films every year than Hollywood, and you've watched them. You don't even know it. The music dominates the streaming chart. It's a powerhouse that has a trajectory to have a much greater impact on the world, and it's been captured by the radical Islamists.
So is it a theocracy, Mike? Is it run by the Islamo-Nazis, as I like to refer to them, or the Philistines, if you care? Who is running? This obviously is a zealot-run country. I mean, no non-Muslim would allow this to happen. No government would allow this to thrive in its country, would they?
Well, that's the thing. It's like a reverse Wakanda, the Marvel fictional country that has a cloaking device around it. Nigeria is the opposite. It projects this secular democracy image, but no, it's 100% captured. It's controlled by the northern caliphate that was established by jihad and never stopped. And the Constitution, which was written by a general, it was a dictator, a Muslim guy from the north. He wrote the Constitution. It has Sharia and other Islamic terms 165 times in the Constitution, not one Christian term. It's all gerrymandered so the control stays in the caliphate. And so it's this illusion of a secular democracy so that it can play nice with the West, but it's entirely captured and controlled by the radical Islamists.
So in the war for global order, that's a very interesting subtitle. Explain why the war, why Nigeria is so important to the war for global order, and I'll tell you why I asked that question afterwards.
Okay. Well, for one thing, when Trump bombed ISIS out of the Middle East in his first term, they relocated there. According to General Michael Langley, the head of AFRICOM last year in front of Congress, said this is the epicenter of global terror. It's the headquarters for ISIS, Al-Qaeda, all these groups operating there, growing, recruiting, being well-funded with impunity. The Chinese are very aggressive there and overexposed because no one's paying attention. They loot over $9 billion a year in minerals. That's the Nigerian government's own number from the north. And they pay for this jihad. They pay the corruption and they pay rent to these terrorist groups. So you have the Islamists, you have the Chinese communists, you have the globalists. Again, it was elements in the United States. It was the Obama administration that literally handed this country off to the radicals. They engineered, they meddled in an election and got this radical guy elected, appointed president back in 2014. So all the forces that we see conspired against the United States around the world, they're very developed and overexposed in Nigeria. It's not like the head of the snake. It's like the head of Medusa, where all the snakes are coming out.
Of course. And that's I love that, because that's the way, in fact, I think you need to look at this issue. But it sounds so similar to me. I love the fact that I was young enough and involved in a family business that I remember specifically the similarities between what we're living through in Iran. This all took place in the 70s with Jimmy Carter. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Carter was essential for the theocracy to take hold of Iran. Had Jimmy Carter not been the president, the theocracy that we're now destroying would never have been in place in Iran. And this is something that it sounds very similar to exactly what you've just described. It's very similar throughout this course, where our government is the one that puts in the cultists as the governments abroad. And this sounds a lot like this was enabled. It was even potentially cleared by military or CIA for it to happen in Nigeria as it did in Libya. And nobody talks about this anymore. And, this is crucially important to understand. There's a reason the Rockefellers and the Gettys all supported Jimmy Carter and what happened after they were able to get the Shaw out and what we're dealing with here. Well, now they've got the new minerals that everybody wants, the trillions of dollars. So the same thing happens in these other little third world enclaves. And our media freezes out this information. And the worst part is when they put lipstick on the pig and you have Tom Hanks star in a movie, Charlie Wilson's War, and they don't tell us we're fighting a proxy war with Russia and we're funding the Taliban, the Islamo-Nazis, Hamas, and Iran. That's how I view it. Is the same thing just happening over and over again?
It certainly seems like it. Now, Trump is definitely taking steps to end it.
Oh, I love it.
There's embedded, throughout our government and of course the media, UN, everywhere, are these people that are completely in alignment with what's happening. So let me give you an example. There is the cloaking language that's been adopted by the media and by the left and by all these people is that, it's not a genocide, it's global warming, and it's farmer-herder clashes because the people doing the killing, they're tribes traditionally, herdsmen. Well, I traced where that language came from. It was a think tank funded by George Soros that hired a Sharia propagandist to write that paper, and that's where the inception point of that language came from. That's now used ubiquitously by politicians and the media and everybody. It's farmer-herder clashes. It's just global warming. That came from a Sharia propagandist hired by George Soros.
Well, it's just so nauseating, and as you look at the protests today in New York, I'm sure you saw it outside of Schmuck Schumer's office. They're all the same Viagra-slaying, fat, white, sexually frustrated women, free Palestine, and all the nonsense that goes along with it. So it's a multi-front propaganda war, and the tragedy and the genocide that happens underneath it, it could never be covered up so successfully unless it was, in fact, a multi-pronged war and with a propaganda wing. I mean, how can you look at it any other way?
That's right. And in fact, the Nigerian government, as corrupt and complicit as you can be, they're listed as a country of particular concern, but they're still allowed. They have over $10 million of lobby contracts right now. They've hired the right-wing, conservative, supposed lobby firms, deep Republican connections. Highest
Tucker
level.
Carlson.
$10 million goes a long way, and they're lobbying very aggressively using sleazy tactics to get people to turn away.
Did you hear that country club pansy, Tucker Carlson, whose father was the Voice of America CEO, talk about Sharia law? That's not an accident, and he didn't stumble upon that while he was putting on his loafers. That's exactly what it is. It's a lobbying form of enriching propagandists in this country, and they're doing it on the right, but they always do it on the right. They start on the left, but they do it on the right. And that's really what you realize when you look at the government. After all, you only have to corrupt 535 people, and money flows out the door. And I think that your book and your networks, you have experience at this. I feel we've never been in such an incredible position. When you look at Trump, how he has ripped it out the way it was laid. First Venezuela, and they don't talk about the Venezuela-Iranian connection that existed for decades. Now Iran, and what he's doing. Now he shuts the Straits of Hormuz. Now the oil tankers come to America. You couldn't draw it up better. And I know he's being attacked on a 24-hour basis, but with your experience and what you've seen throughout your years of doing documentaries and books and your charity work, could you have asked for anything better than what's happening right now?
No, and it's a historic opportunity, and there's a window. His ability to get these things done is not going to be forever. And so, we're working aggressively in this narrative war. I do have concerns. For example, Trump's personal special envoy to Africa, a man named Massad Boulos, happens to be Tiffany Trump's father-in-law. This guy carries a Lebanese passport, a Nigerian passport, an American passport. He is cronies to the current Nigerian president, and his company profits from no-bid, multi-billion-dollar contracts issued by the president of Nigeria. So this guy is deeply conflicted, and he gets out there saying all these same talking points that George Soros' group wrote. So it's distressing to see Trump's special envoy out there in the public parroting this left-wing, as you call it, Islamo-fascist Nazi propaganda as Tiffany Trump's father-in-law and the U.S. envoy to Africa. It's distressing.
It's always the way with, and this is the thing that aggravates the hell out of me. But I speak New York Democrat. They speak in half sentences and innuendo. But I was very concerned because most people don't know about Jared Kushner's father. Lifelong Democrat, massive donor, embroiled in a scandal. He was extorting the brother's wife. He went to prison. Trump pardons him. I couldn't stand the Jarrett family. Really couldn't stand them. And then it turned out they did the Abrams Accord. So I'm optimistic that the intention will outweigh the corruption. But maybe it's just being optimistic. And when you look at just the damage, at least maybe it can be built upon if we get somebody else. Because the reality is, he's but a stitch in time, as we all are. in 3 years, he's out of there. But if we can lay the groundwork to rip it out, or at least educate the people and start the wave here, I think we're also on the cusp of a new party. I really do. I feel that way. I don't think I've ever felt this optimistic about the destruction of the duopoly. Do you see that, or am I just too Pollyannish when it comes to my hopes?
Yeah, and it's interesting. I remember years back when there was Occupy Wall Street and the Tea Party going at the same time, and realized, wait a second, strip away some of this stuff, and these people are saying the same thing. Yeah. I think if we could get past the division that's sown among us on purpose to keep us divided, I think that common sense people who are against tyranny and against oppression and who are lovers of liberty, I think there's plenty of room for us to stand together and pull down this global, what do you call it, cabal that's the globalist, communist,
I call it
and
fourth.
Islamist.
Well, you know what, Mike? I call it a Fourth Reich. It's a Fourth Reich to me. And when you look back and you look at the creation of collectivism in the organization, the game was to always get the choice by the serfs to choose between the friendlier, better dressed Fabian socialists and the hardcore communist Marxist murderers. That was always the game, and we've been in that game for many, many years. So I'm optimistic, because I think if you're part of that kleptocracy and you're one of the oligarchs in it, you're nervous right now. Trump is really upsetting things, and he's giving a voice to people. He's letting things be exposed that were never exposed, like the things in your book. And one of the questions I want to ask you before I let you go, I know time, and I appreciate you cutting it for me. When you look back at what we've lived through and all of the years and life experiences and the historical ones, going back to the creation of the Islamo-Nazi world, I don't know how you can think you can coexist when the people who are telling you, the radical Islamists, we are going to conquer you. They're not hiding it. They've never hidden it. They tell you we cannot coexist. If you want to coexist, you will either pay a tax or we will kill you. I think that you have to come to at least in this country where freedom of speech is supposed to be the ideal, the realization this is not a religion to coexist with. This religion must be sequestered. They can have their areas and the rest of it. I think we should shut them off from everything, commerce, economy. There is no getting along with people that tell you we will kill you if you don't agree with us. Do you come to a different conclusion?
No, absolutely. And I distinguish between Muslims and Islam, because I know honorable Muslims. We have a school and a camp that serves mostly Muslim children because their parents refused to be radicalized and were killed for it. Yeah. So there are those that are like that. But Islam, they're just doing what was modeled by Muhammad. It is the same playbook for 1,400 years. You're seeing it here in the United States. It's exactly what Muhammad did in Medina. It's the same playbook.
And how about
everywhere on earth it's been started? It's never been stopped without a war. It has never been stopped without a war in 1,400 years.
How about when they tell you you can never leave? What are you, the Genovese crime family? What do you mean I can never leave? If you don't believe it and you say you're not a Muslim, we'll kill you. Are you out of your mind? I mean, it's in the year 2026. I am almost fascinated that more people aren't repulsed by what is actually in the minutia of this cult that is destroying the quality of life on every continent it touches. But Mike Arnold, I love the fact that you've written the book. I want to get you back. We're going to talk about your documentary. Tell me again about the documentary before I let you go.
So after discovering one of these camps for displaced Christians, this horrific place in the middle of the capital of Nigeria, I promised I would tell their story. That was 2019. I didn't know how deep the story was. I didn't know how deep this rabbit hole went. And I've been back 6 times, some of them a level 4, do not travel, combat zone warnings, undercover, hidden camera. And I've been on the front line of the genocide, and I've got the goods. I've got the video that'll convict the existing government for genocide. I have the proof. And we're in post-production now with a film that I believe is going to shake things up. And it's not trauma porn. It's light, actually. It shows the heroes on the front line that endured and served despite all of it. Powerful film called Me and Miss Hannatu.
Would you please come back and let me know when you're going to release that and how we can get a hold of it? And then also, we got to talk. You're a very busy guy. You're a Renaissance man of sorts. Tell us about the nonprofit so we could have our people check that out as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So there's between 10, 12 million displaced in Nigeria with a 50 to 60% chance of being radicalized. So, you're talking 5, 6 million more jihadis in a few years if we don't intervene. And the way to intervene is by teaching these children. That's the battleground, this generation. And so We have schools in these camps. The kids show up wanting to get guns, go back and kill. They leave with an education wanting to go back and rebuild. We're making a difference, changing lives. These are Christian mostly, and then Muslim children as well that have been displaced by genocide, and we're reaching them and we're changing their lives. You can find out more at mikearnold.org. You can find links to the book as well as to the schools.
Mike, I can't thank you enough for giving me time and letting our people know exactly what's going on and the different ways they can help. Thank you, Mike, for everything you do. I appreciate you.
Thank you. God bless you.
You too. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
He will never negotiate his constitutional rights with the government. Live free or die on The Sean Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.
President Trump has triggered a $200 billion tech disruption, and Wall Street is asleep at the switch. This $200 billion investment in chip technology could make today's artificial